Hi, I will show you how to use Redis Enterprise operator for Kubernetes, and I will use a Google Kubernetes cluster. So my first step here is to create a Kubernetes cluster in Google, so I can just see that it is currently being created. So it is a very simple cluster with 3 nodes, 4 CPU per node, and 16 gigs of RAM. As soon as the cluster is created, I will deploy the Redis Enterprise operator pod, and then I will ask this operator to create a cluster inside Kubernetes and to create a database inside the Redis Enterprise cluster. So now the cluster is created, I can ask for information, so I can see that the cluster is created. I can create a namespace because I will deploy everything in a namespace. So I configure the namespace to be the default namespace. Now everything that I create is created inside this namespace. So now I can download the description file for the operator from Redis Enterprise website and apply it. As soon as it is applied, Kubernetes creates a pod with the operator inside. So it is currently being created. So the pod is created and the container is being created, and now the container is running, so the operator is running. I have the operator, but not yet a Redis Enterprise cluster and not yet a Redis database. So no services are currently exposed. I create a cluster description file with the cluster name and the number of nodes with the default settings, and I apply it. As soon as this file is deployed in Kubernetes, the operator can fetch it and apply it, so it can create the Redis Enterprise cluster. So basically it will start 3 pods, each of them with 2 containers. The first container is a bootstrapping container, and the second container of each pod is the actual node. So it is currently deploying the pods and starting the containers. I am just accelerating the time to keep this small demonstration within 5 minutes. So we can see that each pod is being created, and in each pod we have both containers being executed. As soon as all the pods are ready, we will see that there is a service available. So all the pods are deployed with 2 containers, as I said. So we have the Redis Enterprise cluster. And if we ask for the services, we can see that the Redis Enterprise cluster exposes a service inside Kubernetes. This service is protected by a username and a password, so I can ask for this username and password so that we have them now. It is generated, so we have to fetch them. And then I expose the web user interface to be able to connect to this web user interface from my local browser. And I connect with the provided credentials. So from that point, I can see that the cluster is up and running and that it has 3 nodes with no database. Now I will open a new terminal to create a database description file in YAML. It is a very simple file with just the name of the database and the size. I can provide more information, but in such a case I don't need. I push this file into Kubernetes, the operator will get the file and will apply it. By applying it, I mean it will ask the Redis Enterprise cluster to create the database, and it will expose the database in a Kubernetes service, so that this database is now available for any application inside Kubernetes. Of course, this database is protected by a generated password, so I can just ask for the information, and you can see that the password is here. It is currently encoded in base 64, but I could decode it, but I don't need it. If I come back to the web user interface, I can see that the database is created. It is waiting, no operations currently, and it is listening on the port. It is 100 megabytes large, and it has a password. It is available, and I could use it in any application. So it is very easy to deploy a cluster, a database, and to update a cluster configuration or a database configuration with this operator. Thank you.